The answer to the question, which film was shot in both New Mexico and Louisiana in 2012, is C, The Host.
Welcome back. That was riveting. No, did you know that that lady that Fred Astaire's so keen on is actually Winston Churchill's daughter? Now let's turn to train Adrian Wallen for more fun facts about royal wedding.
Well, thank you, Lauren Poole.
Hit us with some facts.
Originally, the dancer opposite Fred was supposed to be played by Judy Garland. And she was coming off of kind of the end of a longer career, and she had a reputation as being pretty high maintenance at that point. And things didn't work out. And they actually had to cast somebody else opposite Mr. Astaire, and that was
Jane Powell.
Jane Powell. And when they let Judy go, this actually caused her not only to end her 14-year contract with MGM, but unfortunately, her first suicide attempt was a result of not getting this role in this movie.
Wow, jeez.
I thought that was going to be a more fun factoid. Poor
Oh, I'm
Judy
sorry. Did I bring
Garland.
everyone down?
Went to
Look,
a dark
you're
place.
just keeping it real because this romantic romp through the English city side is maybe hiding the real darkness surrounding the picture.
Showbiz is a pretty cutthroat business, all right? And if you don't have the steps, you're out.
I'm hiring you as my manager. Chris, any comments so far?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's funny you say that because watching the movie, it is so lighthearted. I mean, it is very much like, I was watching and thinking, like, you don't see movies like this anymore that take itself seriously in its lightheartedness, and then it's like, oh yeah, Judy Garland like almost killed herself because she wasn't in it. Like,
Yeah.
well, okay, that keeps it lighthearted. And stuff. Like,
Speaking of lighthearted, what was up with the bar fight scene earlier?
Oh yeah. I was looking at Adrian's notes and he wrote, what is it? The rowdiest bar fight since Roadhouse.
since Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Film 30-some years beforehand. Yeah.
But the only two guys in the fight, nobody even seemed to care or even stand up when they were fighting. And they seemed like they were like trying to hold down some laughter as they were throwing elbows and right hooks and everything.
And then Fred Astaire and his sister are like, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's cold.
But definitely like a lighthearted approach to filmmaking, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even the character of Fred Astaire's sister was like, she's just like, oh, okay, date this guy, they fight over me, like, whatever, like, I'm going to England. It was just totally just like super corny, but yet acceptable, and obviously hiding this darkness.
But then she meets the player too, because that British dude she starts hooking up with is a total player. And so they're like, all right.
Which makes it okay.
I guess,
yeah.
Yeah, they can keep each other on their toes. On that note, I hope you're on your toes, because when we come back, we'll watch more of this film and have more Chris Roybal and In the Insight with Dirk Norris. Stick around. I think it's okay, but you're still walking funny. Welcome back to Pulp Film Lab with Adrian Wallen, Lauren Poole, and Chris Roybal. Thanks, guys.
Are we clapping on that?
Oh,
Again?
I'm clapping
Again?
for you guys because Alex is busy filming a WWE movie where he's like wrestling with a 6'6" dude.
Oh.
It's cool. Yeah, that's
Wow.
what's happening today. But we are interviewing Chris Roybal. And what's your upcoming project that you wanted to talk to us about today?
My flamenco documentary is called Siempre Flamenco. Pretty easy to remember, hopefully. And so, a little background, like 5 years ago, I made my first film about flamenco, as I said earlier. It's called The Spanish Room. And so I'm revisiting the group and seeing what's changed and everything, but also trying to film flamenco in a totally new avant-garde way that's a little different than how I did it in the past, which was just in the studio, in rehearsal, your very basic cookie cutter sort of dance documentary. So for this one, we're actually going to stage some really big productions of flamenco all around Albuquerque, in some really classic venues like the Rail Yard or Old Town or up in the San Sandias or along the Bosque, to really kind of like drill home the idea that flamenco can and will be done anywhere. Because being around the Nationals de Flamenco and all these great dancers here in Albuquerque, if anything I've learned over the last 5 years has just been that they just keep going. They do whatever they can to do their art form that they love, and particularly over the last year with their studio burning down, which is in the news pretty
that was
big.
awful.
Yeah.
And then with like Ricardo Anglada, he had a stroke, and he's one of the their key.
The first time I ever tasted chicharrones, he was eating a burrito with chicharrones in it, and I always just get bacon, and my mom never made them because they're really fatty, and
Right,
he was
yeah, mine too.
he was like, "Do you want to have a bite?" And I didn't even know him. I was like, "Yes," and then I found out he's a young guy. He's like 30.
Yeah,
but he's
yeah.
okay. He's like relearning how to play the guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. Like we went to like middle school together and stuff. So like we go way back, and this to happen, be the same age. I was like, whoa, And so he's really like over the last year, just got it, like, started eating better and taking care of himself more. And it's pretty inspiring because at this concert that they just had, the Nationals Flamenco, at the beginning of November that I filmed for the documentary, he was like the surprise performer. He came out and played one number on the bass guitar. And so to have the movement already back in his hands after years, pretty phenomenal. And it's just like, they're very happy about it because it's so family oriented. And so it's just really cool that he could, recover from that. So.
Yeah.
In your film, do we get some sort of behind-the-scenes look at things, or do we get to follow these people through their lives when they're not dancing and kind of seeing what they're going through?
Yeah, that's a good question. Frankly, I'm still figuring out how much of that we're going to see in it, because the main idea of coming back after 5 years is to see what sort of changed in their personal life, not just their dancing lives, and also just sort of to dive a little bit more into, I guess their daily lives. I mean, simply put, because in the first film we just kind of saw them very as their professional life in the studio all the time, and so even I want to revisit some of the dancers who aren't dancing anymore and see, what are they doing, and why aren't they dancing for different reasons? Because it's a tough lifestyle to be a professional dancer of any sort, but particularly flamenco here in Albuquerque, where you're not necessarily getting paid to perform and do anything like that, and you're just doing it because you love it, and you're changing your whole life around it. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that. There's just so many stories to capture.
I want to see the kids, like the ones that 5 years ago they were real little, and see how many are still dancing. Maybe they're 15 now, or like 10, and they're still dancing or not. And
and that is a cool part too, and that's one of the dreams of the Nationals de Flamenco, is they really want to show that their first group of kids that they started with are now becoming professional dancers. Like there's a dancer named Kayla, and she's probably the only one in the Hastros, which is the professional level. Yeah, Kayla Lyle. She's the only one right now who's actually started from a little kid and is in the professional group. So she's like bringing everybody along now, and now they have a whole like other group of kids, like 15, 16, that are right on that cusp. And so it's an exciting time. And as a filmmaker, it's like, yeah, I mean, the stories are there already. I just have to show up and keep it in focus, So
yeah, that's such a cool family group of people to film. Like, just film it and you'll get something good.
Exactly, yeah.
Not to hate on you, but it just
no,
film
I
them
agree.
and, like,
I
it'll
totally
come out
agree.
good.
I totally agree. That's all it is, and so we just
Cool.
try not to mess the story up.
Nice. Cool. And I think we have some footage from Siempre Flamenco. So let's roll it. Nice. It just makes me want to be able to dance like that, but I will look like a fool.
Yeah, it's definitely something it's amazing and intimidating at the same time. You know?
Yeah, like that's a good way to throw down. Like if you're trying to get your point across, just flamenco somebody and they'll be like, you win, you're
Yeah,
cool.
Just
You're cool.
stomp it out.
And we have a hat rack dance off. As promised. Oh God, I don't want to do it.
I'm limber
You ready?
and I'm confident.
Okay. Maybe you can judge us, Chris.
I'd gladly judge. That's good. As long as I don't have to dance and I can sit here and yeah, that's
All
fine.
right, all right. Well, I guess we'll get back into Royal Wedding. You can watch some more Fred Astaire trying to seduce Winston Churchill's daughter, and Jane Powell trying to seduce a British lord who's down on his luck. Enjoy.